All right, today we have the good fortune of going to one of the greatest session guitar players' home studios of all time. Of course, I'm talking about my good friend Tim Pierce. Tim Pierce was named one of the top 10 studio guitar players of all time. He's worked on insane number of records that you have heard, including records with Elton John, Christina Aguilera, Bruce Springsteen, Goo Goo Dolls, and a million others. Really good person, fun hang, talented guitar player, and also amazing YouTube channel. If you haven't seen him on YouTube, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've seen him on YouTube before you even found this channel. He is just an all-star. I used to work at a recording studio in Hollywood called East West, and I actually met Tim as a staff engineer when I worked there, and he was coming in playing on these enormous records. He was in there all the time. Very, very busy man. Very, very fun hang. As I said, thank you, Tim, for inviting me to come and see the studio and go through all of the fun toys that you have and the cool setup. If you're not following Tim, go check out his YouTube channel. He also has an incredible guitar lesson membership that you can join if you're looking to improve your guitar skills. I'll put links to all that stuff down in the description.
Hey, this is Tim Pierce. Welcome to my studio that's not really a studio, but it is a studio.
Whoa, look at this. This is amazing. Are these, oh wait, no, these aren't shoe racks. I was gonna say, are these shoe racks?
Yes, they are. They're from IKEA, and I recommend them. I can be an endorsee for these. They are shoe racked, and they came from IKEA, and they work really well.
How often are you popping in here?
Quite a bit, actually, because I might need something special, you know. Generally, fuzz pedals don't reside over here, so if I need a fuzz, I'll go in there for that.
Yeah.
Or some nostalgic thing that, you know, a whammy or something, you know.
So this is like a bonus room? Is that right?
That was it, yeah. When we bought this house, we looked for something with a large room, and it was very difficult to find. And when we found this one of the great things about it is the neighbors to that side, there are no windows on her side of the house. Ooh. And when we bought the place, I brought up a big powered Mackie speaker and an iPod. This was like 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And I blasted this room, and I went down to the street to see, okay, is this going to be okay for the neighbors? I think it is, because even though it can be loud up here, we're far enough away from the neighbors that it's okay. And as I said, there's no bedroom window on the house adjacent here, so it worked out.
It's funny doing and seeing so many people's home studios, how frequently the bonus room is the studio. And
I see it all the time in your videos, and this is above a 3-car garage, and it works perfectly. Now, the only thing I will tell you about this, and I've never said this on a video before, a bonus room above a garage is known as a frog, framed room above garage. And there are a couple of issues with that. In the summertime, you have 3 sides of heat, and you also have a garage that's full of heat. And then when you bring in your cars, you bring in 2 massive heaters that you add. So I insulated the floor, and it has a pretty robust air conditioning component to it. So that's the only thing about being above a garage. So
I'm so
those who want
jealous.
to know.
My room is, you know, I'll see comments that'll say, how do you handle the sound going out? How do you handle this? It just is what it is. You turn the AC on, it's loud and noisy, and then you turn it off when you film.
Well, I did wide ducts. That's one thing I did. So it's pretty quiet. I can do acoustic guitar in here with no noise, with the AC on, pretty much. The only thing, if there's some tree service happening in the neighborhood or some gardening, you can't really do anything about that. But this was designed to be an anti-studio because I spent my life in really beautiful studios, but as you know, they are windowless. Yeah. And there's a couple of great reasons for that, for the security and for the sound. So I wanted a place where I could spend my work days with windows. And some of my favorite studios either have windows in them, there weren't that many, or they had the courtyard, like Conway or Sunset Sound, where you had access. Like if I was in the studio and I could see an open door with sunlight coming through it, that was enough to kind of make me feel like I was, you know, part of the day. Yeah. But this studio is designed to kind of be more like a den. It's for people to relax. I can have a whole crew of people here. I can have the artist, family of the artist, engineer, producer, composer, and I'll bring these couches in and everybody can sit and relax, and it never feels crowded. It has 2 stations. You have 2 Pro Tools rigs, one facing this way and one facing me, so If I'm faster at a particular task than the engineer, I don't have to ask. I don't have to say, can you do this for me? I can just do it.
Yeah.
And so that'll shave 5 seconds off. So this studio is designed for momentum. And whoever's sitting here, you know, some of the people are faster than me, some of the people are not.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the situation. And if we're both fast, then we can shave 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds off of every task. I can get 4 hours of overdubbing done in 2 hours. So that's the benefit. And it really works great. Also, communication. I'm looking straight into everybody's eyes the whole time. So if the artist is sitting there and she or he is getting bored, I know immediately.
Yeah.
Or if I play something and they get excited, conversely, I know immediately, so I can actually play to my strengths. If I'm doing something and you see their energy and their enthusiasm and immediately I can tell how they feel about stuff. And that actually makes a faster job too. It makes the momentum better because I can kind of feed off of exactly what they're feeling.
Yeah, that's great. So for people watching, this is like the perspective here. So you can have a wonderfully comfortable space for whoever else is sitting in here.
And I just bring these couches in so that people can sit in front of the speakers. Right now, I want them out because we're filming and I want the room to show some space. But these couches are super lightweight. I just bring them in if people want to be closer to the monitors.
And then this space over here is also nice for a bunch of different reasons.
This was a party room, and that was the bar. And because of the YouTube channel, this really functions in ways that I never expected. It's a great standing desk. Yes. I mean, I sit and do work on my computer here all the time. I will rebuild pedal boards here, and I also do shots of the guitar on this desk, and it's just really easy to kind of get in the shot. I can be right here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I encourage everybody to have some sort of standing desk, and I ended up with a natural one right here. I do a lot of my work standing, frankly, because I do a lot of my work sitting. And it's great to just, you know, change it up all the time. Yeah. And then I thought, what am I going to do with that back there? I made it into a record store. So I've got the turntable. I just bring the records out and play them from time to time.
So you got kind of some just gear all over the place here.
Well, it's overflow. Like those are Fender pedals that I break out. I've got one right here. My friend Stan Cody at Fender brought me those. I'm using one right now, the compressor. Generally around here you'll see overflow, and there's storage back there too. I'll store strings and tools and all kinds of other stuff that I'm not using all the time. Few too many guitars here right now. I want to actually thin the herd a little bit and have a few less. But you know as well as I do, if you do something your whole life, you end up with a lot of instruments.
It's cool for me to see this because, you know, I had the luxury of being able to sit in on some sessions with you. Here's the thing, there's a lot that goes into being a session player that's not playing. And actually, a ton of it is not playing.
Well, and there's no time for guitar sounds. If they want a guitar sound, you have to deliver it in 5, 10, 15 seconds. I mean, the thing about you and I is we worked together way before any of this. So it's really kind of cool to actually be in this second life and have you film. You and I did sessions together, and those sessions, like I would get there super early. I might bring 18 to 20 guitars. Back in the 90s, I'd bring 40 guitars because there'd be a cartage truck.
Yeah.
They didn't mind having a lot of stuff there. Because when somebody asks you, hey, do you have an old Jaguar? You want the answer to be yes. If somebody says, hey, what about a Tele? You want to say yes. How about something old and funky that's kind of broken sounding? Yes. It's just limitless. So that's why all this stuff is sitting here, because it feels really, really demoralizing to have to go, no, I don't have that. Okay, it's cool. And you know you've missed an opportunity to give them something that is going to make their dream come true. So
we've got some acoustic focus stuff back there, right?
Yeah, that's where most of the acoustics end up. Some of them are still kind of in the garage right now. Probably the guitars I use the most are over in this area. This will be different a year from now, but right now those are the ones that I might be using the most.
All right, so out of my own curiosity, I just want to say we got a Gibson 335.
Yeah, that's a 335. That's a player grade vintage guitar. It's a 1962. A lot of it's not original, has a refret, has new pickups, and so it was affordable, but it really plays great. I'm lucky to have it.
And then PRS.
PRS, that's very fancy. That's a Mario Martin Strat that's super lightweight. I did a video on that, and that is a 1962 Jaguar with flat wounds. Flat wounds, I recommend everybody who's a guitar player make sure you have a guitar or two with flat wounds, because you're transported right back to the 50s and 60s. The blue one's a David Grissom model. I vouch for his PRS. Everybody loves David's PRSs. This is a new Les Paul, but it has pickups that are going to be my signature pickups. Rob Timmons at Arcane is ready to make these. They'll be available in a couple of months. We worked pretty hard on them. We don't even know what this is. It was at Norm's, and it originally might not have even had pickups. It might have been just an acoustic archtop, but it's an amazing old Gibson. It sounds amazing, it plays amazing, and I was lucky it ended up in my hands.
Pipe Dream, is that a speaker?
Yeah, my friend Rob Page, Richard Page's brother, he makes a Chop 6 bass that I did a video on, and it was just like you said, Andrew. I did the video, and he ended up with more orders than he could fill, so he's a busy man right now making this. And I recommend this for guitar players. This is a real thing. I'm not just saying this.
Yeah.
This is the greatest bass for guitar players. Oh. And yeah, Rob, he makes lots of stuff, but he made that speaker too. So it's called Pipe Dream.
Wow.
And he calls it the Chop 6, and it's the ultimate bass for guitar players.
Some more stuff over here. So what's like going to be the difference between this world and that world? Is there any difference, or is it just more?
Not really. It's catch as catch can, and frankly, I don't know where anything is sometimes, and I just have to look at headstocks until I identify the guitar that I'm missing. So yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it. But generally, these days, if I'm using something regularly, it ends up over here because it's just just easier to walk to, I think.
You have your main setup over there, and then you have another setup over here, and a pedal board on the ground.
All this is R&D for my live pedal board. So what happens is I did a session at East West about a month ago.
Okay.
And it was a continuation of a record I'd already worked on with some great people. And I actually wanted to change my pedal board for that session, those group of songs. Okay. So I rebuilt this board. I had it up here. And then in order to test it, I put it on the floor here. And I put it through its paces, standing up or sitting down, and it comes through the monitors here. So it's basically R&D for my studio pedal board that I take to studios like East West and everywhere else. It doubles in size. Like this one, I'm remaking to be its mate. So the actual full pedal board will be two of these side by side, and it'll be the mate to that one when I really, really want to bring a lot of stuff to a studio.
All right, let's take a look over here.
Okay, the real rig.
Yeah, this is...
Okay, I spent my life in control rooms overdubbing. Of course, I would track live off the floor, but then a lot of the work afterwards became about overdubbing. You would do your live track, then you'd go in the control room and overdub. And I preferred overdubbing personally because I could hear better and I could manage the room and get a lot more work done. It's really exciting to play live with headphones off the floor.
Yeah.
But most of my work was creating guitar orchestrations after the fact in the control room. Now, in any control room, I'm going to be over to the side or in the back, or even in the center. I'd be looking to people on each side or behind me as I communicated. So this room was designed, as I said, for me to look face to face with everybody. And I designed it like an airplane cockpit, so everything is within reach. So down below us is a vault with all the speaker cabinets, all the mics. The mics come into these mic pre's. They're all blended through this Kahayan mixer, and they go into one channel of Pro Tools, not even two. Now I can change this into a stereo mixer by pressing this button. He customized it for me. But I like to record in mono. If I do something in stereo, I either get it from the FM9, which is sitting down here, the Fractal, or I get it from plugins. I use Echo Boy like crazy and stereo reverbs that are plugins. I also have an amp switcher right here. What this does, it will switch 16 heads into 8 different cabinets. I'll never get there, but right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads. But this allows me at the press of a button to choose any head into any cabinet. Then the mic pre's have dedicated mics, so I don't even have to use a patch bay. They're just ready to go. If I want to use a particular mic with speakers, I just go boop, and it's on. So I really designed it for being under the gun, and I can activate all my overdrives or distortion pedals here. All my time-based stuff is over here. Reverbs, I have the H9s with an iPad running them. So it's a pretty big palette of stuff. And of course it all changes from time to time. But you need to have it there ready to go, so if somebody asks for it, You know? Let me just show you one more thing. That one of the unique things about this is ergonomically, being a guitar player, I've actually never talked about this before. My posture is really important. I want to sit up straight because over time, I don't want to be like this. So this actually comes this way. I can make it even closer. I don't have to, my hand sits over the guitar. It lands right there. And then this is down low, which is a very natural place for the mouse. If you're doing something for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, you want to be able to feel good, and the ergonomics are very important.
So you have Outboard Pres going into, is that the Symphony?
Yeah, an Apogee Symphony. Now, I'm a real fan of Apogee because, you know, you could go to Burl or some of the more esoteric converters, but Apogee is kind of that sweet spot where they are in the business of A to D conversion. These are the best. I've done work at 192 on this machine, and it sounds three-dimensional.
Well, you do have some amazing other stuff in the chain here. I mean, those BAE, those 1073 BAEs, right?
I love them. I like those guys a lot. They remind me of everything I've used for decades in the studio, and I've even done A/B tests with these against the real vintage ones, and they sound identical. I made sure I did that. Gear these days is so forward in the vintage sense. It's that way with the guitar gear too. It's, you know, everything has the vintage aesthetic in it so robustly now that I think you could almost go with any brand of these, but these are the ones I really love. They're the best ones, I think. So if you had come here just at another point in time, the only mic pre's I had were API. So I've had seasons of API only.
Yeah.
And they're amazing, and they sound great. There's a snap to them that I really love. You can slam them pretty hard. That's the thing. They sound good with high SPLs.
So you're coming out mono from your signal chain going into the computer. Is that hitting the distressor before it goes in?
The distressor right now is only on the acoustic chain. So the distressor is no part of the electric sound. When I play acoustic guitar, I go through one channel of this Neve clone, which is Kahayan, these are friends of mine, and I go through the distressor. So it is only dedicated to the acoustic mic, which once again, for momentum, is seconds away.
Right there.
Yeah, it's a Shep CMC5U, which Ross Hogarth, my friend, loves, and then Rafa Sardina got me this microphone because it was his favorite microphone, so I was lucky to get an old CMC5U.
CMC5U, okay.
But anything, you know.
Mental note taken?
Yeah, I don't think they make them anymore, but it's a good mic. There's lots of good mics though.
What are you plugging into? What do you plug your guitar?
Okay, so the guitar goes into this EVH pedal right here.
Okay.
And then it goes into a box that you can't see that basically goes into that loop strip down there and these loop strips back here. So it's basically an octopus of pedal boards, right? Everything is on bypass until I activate it. This is another pedal board right here if you want to look at it that way. Until I press these buttons, it's all on bypass. So it's an octopus of loop strips that are on bypass almost 100% of the time until I add an effect.
And then somewhere, and then they go into the amps.
They go into the Kahayan, which goes out to all the amps. Yeah. So this is the guitar signal right here.
Right there, okay.
This is how it gets to the amps. And this is just plugged into a bunch of loop strips. So if you look at this, it's like I have kind of 5 pedal boards sitting here that are all in bypass. And I check the health of the signal to make sure that I'm not losing too much tone. Maybe just a little bit, not much really. And then this is the guitar signal. So it basically goes from here to there with some loop strips along the way.
What guitar is that?
PRS that I had built. It's meant to be, you know, I have some fancy PRSs. This is meant to be just a little bit fancy with the purfling. But it's lightweight. It has the dots rather than the birds. What I wanted was for people to see a PRS that they didn't know what it was for the first 30 seconds, and then they would realize. So it's worked great. I love this guitar. It sounds really great.
It's beautiful. Can we take a look at the cabinet room?
Let's do it. Okay, the vault. Come on in. Don't bump your head.
Oh my goodness. This is like the most awesome ISO cabinet I've ever seen.
So I got really obsessed with old Celestians, and I got old quads. This is from 1968, this quad. This quad here is from 1970, March 3rd, 1970. That quad is from 1978. No, that one is from 1978. And then I think I have some Recones back there that are vintage Recones. Pre-roller greenbacks, January 1971. I love these old speakers. They sound really warm and musical. So each cabinet has like a 57 and a Royer, or a 57 and a Royer there. That's called a C800, which is not the C800G. This doesn't have the heat sink. It's a mic they made in the early 90s that wasn't very popular. It's really kind of hard to find, but it's like the modern C37A, is what it's called. An engineer friend of mine used it, and I kind of fell in love with it, so I have that on a couple of cabinets. But
So 3 different rigs here.
Yeah.
On the back wall.
Yeah, and then one over here. This is the Recones, which sound like new speakers. So there you go. Those are like brand new Celestians. They're Reconed vintage speakers. It's fun having Recones. And then up top there is a box with the Silver Bell speakers. I have to mic that one up.
At any given time, you have 4 options for cabinets.
Right now I have 4, and it'll grow. I'll go to 5 and 6. It's just I want to get an SM7 and try a couple of other microphones too. Well, yeah, there's 4 speakers in each cabinet, so very hard to find a cabinet that's affordable with the vintage speakers. So I would buy the speakers raw.
The speaker cabinet is a huge part of the sound, right?
I don't know. I've always liked 412s, and an open back cabinet does sound different.
Yeah.
But I've always liked 412s. This is just kind of a personal preference.
Sure.
I think a microphone that's in front of a speaker is going to hear pretty much the same thing no matter what.
Okay.
Some people might argue with me over that, but I love the sound of open backs, but I've just always been preferential to closed back.
Well, Tim, thank you so much
for
having me out. This was full circle moment for me as someone who always admired your work, and being able to see you and then you on YouTube. You know, I think it's really inspiring to see professional musicians on YouTube. If anyone doesn't know, you do have a wonderful channel and great membership to lessons and courses.
For guitar lessons, yeah, I have the masterclass. We have a 2-week free trial, so you can check it out and see if it's right. And if it's not, just opt out. It's pretty big. We have 1,500 videos. No, 1,800 videos and 150 hours of content. It's quite large at this point. We keep adding to it too, so it's a lot of stuff.
That's great. Well, I'll put links to all that stuff in the description so people can check it out. And we will get out of your hair. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. I wanted to actually talk to you about making content. If you're a musician or a songwriter or an artist or an audio engineer, producer, whatever you're doing, you might want to consider getting into making some content to promote the work that you're doing, or to get more work for whatever it is that you're trying to do, get people's attention on the work that you're doing. Making content is an excellent way of doing that. That's what I'm doing here. That's what Tim is now doing. A great new resource that you can use to help you on your content creation journey is Sweetwater. They have a whole new content creation part of their website where you can get everything from cameras to video switches for live streaming to lights. And speaking of lights, check out these lights that they just sent me. These are the Nan Light Pavo tubes, and they actually come in 2 different lengths, but these are very fantastic lights that you can use for a bunch of different purposes, and I will put links to those down in the description, as well as the whole content creator thing. I'll also put links to all of the gear that I use down in the description. You can get it on Sweetwater. Those are affiliate links to help support the channel. Thank you so much for using those. Those help me and all of my endeavors here making these videos. Thank you guys for watching this video and subscribing and buying the sample pack. Everything that you guys do is just super awesome. I hope you enjoy these videos. They're incredibly fun to make. I love going to hang out with everyone and check out their gear and our just obsession with this world of music and gas, gear acquisition syndrome, and all that stuff. So thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.